The next position that I'm going to talk about is traditional kneeling. Most people like and enjoy this position. It's good, it's very stable, and the average person can pull it off with really no issue. Let's talk about shoes. So you might be really flexible, but one thing to consider, if you were to buy, say, a set of Chuck Taylors, those new like Chuck Taylor shoes that they have out at tacticalshit.com, those crazy guys over there, if you were to buy a pair of those shoes, generally I can, if I have those or sneakers, I can sit back on my foot, okay? But as we get into very rigid boots, there's a reason why you wear them when you're carrying a lot of weight or doing more mountaineering stuff. And that's because they give you more support. So what can typically happen is you might be used to sitting on completely on your foot, almost your ankle. But now when you wear rigid boots, you're not going to be able to pull that off. So the other way that you can do it as well, and both are acceptable, is by just sitting back, butt goes to the back of the foot. Okay, so I'm either toes folded underneath me, or I completely put the foot underneath me to pull this traditional kneeling position off. As I'm getting older, I kind of like just putting my ass to the back of the heel, and that makes it a little bit more simplistic. Reaction hand, meaning my non-firing hand. What do I do with that? Well, once I get into my natural point of aim and I get up on target, I want to make sure that my gun, meaning my red dot or my crosshairs, is spending more time on the bullseye than off the bullseye. I may have to raise the gun up a little bit or lower the gun just a little bit. I also have the option of switching hand position. So I can come up underneath and kind of seat clamp this thing just a little bit. It just is shooter preference. It's not really one or the other. It's a matter of how comfortable do you feel, and what are you seeing through the glass or through your red dot when you're doing a shoot and engagement. Is it moving all over the place? Maybe it's not the right for you. So again, try these things out as you're practicing. Sling, we already talked about the sling and other issues. Now what we're going to also look at is contact with the magazine. So if I can, I want contact with the magazine like that. So my position that I'm in, instead of it hanging out over here all loose and not making contact with anything, we said earlier the best that we can do is gun to us and us to the earth. So if I get in a really good shooting position, then I am going to have that contact spot right there. If I'm not in a good position, then a lot of times we just move the gun over and then we create that gap right there. And of course, I can solve that by moving my body and still having that contact point. So remember, our natural inclination is to just move the gun over, and we lose sight of all these other things that are to help facilitate a really steady and or accurate shot. One of the other things that I'll do to get some assist from my sling is once I get into this position, I might have a slight cant on the gun, and then I will drive that gun in nice and tight. So we have that magazine making contact with the forearm. We have me dropping this arm. As long as it's not so tight it wants to spring back up, then I'm good. So you do have to be careful how tight you make this sling. Shooting at longer ranges, my hand gravitates to the right hand side of the gun. I'm only doing it because I want to try to mitigate doing this. I always want to try to pull that trigger straight back into the rear, and since it is a longer range shot and a more critical shot, and I do have the time, to me it's value added, vice value lost. However, everybody differs. Play with it, see what you think, but try some different varieties. Sit on your foot, sit on your heel, run your hand this way, run your hand under, utilize the sling, contact points. In the end, basically take the foundation that has been taught for a lot longer than I've been around and modify it to work for you. The next position is very similar to traditional, and people either like it or they don't. It's one of those things that the moment in which you bring this gun up, switch this mag over to the other side, you're gonna either hate this or it's gonna be awesome for you. So when we look at this national match position, we're really there to maximize the contact point to the guns, meaning we're really wrapping around the mag. It's not going to work on every style of gun, but you'll find that traditionally, for at least for me, I can tell you that I can hold the gun a lot more steady. The lower body still is doing all the same things. This elbow is always forward, meaning we're always putting that tricep up over the kneecap. That always remains the same. What really switches here is this twisting of the arm. And whether we realize it or not, I'm using this arm for support, and support can be defined in many different ways. So traditionally, when people are starting off new, I tell them to bring the gun up, then bring the arm over, and then set it into that kind of pocket area. Some warnings: reciprocating charging handles and ejection can be an issue. So depending upon whether you're southpaw or not, or the style of gun you have, that can present a problem, and you might need to find another technique. Now, when I bring this gun up in order to do my engagement, I have magazine forced against my arm over here. I'm just relaxing these fingers. I have the gun, but a lot of the work is being done with the sling underneath my arm over here. So I'm getting assist from both sides. Now, if you can't do that, and some guys are a little bit bigger, so it just doesn't work for them, the question is, can you set the mag in this pocket right here? Meaning, at least give it a place to rest. And if you can, that's really going to aid you as well.